How's it going, guys? Today I want to talk about a hot new topic, and that is the rise of AI and programs like ChatGPT. Let's go. So I don't know if you guys have seen ChatGPT. If you haven't, you must be hiding under a rock somewhere. Get out from under the rock and go and check it out. It's really an amazing new artificial intelligence tool that's super easy to use. You basically type in some prompts, and the better the prompts of what information you want it to give you back, the better the response will be. I've been playing around with this for some months now, and it's really just incredible. I'll often use this tool to put in really anything I want. I'll ask it specific questions, write me 10 YouTube titles based on what is most likely to rank well on a specific topic. I told it the other day, write me a 7-day vegan menu plan with 1,400 calories and not more than 35 grams of fat. It spit out a whole 7-day menu plan. I've asked it to write pitch decks, so many different things. It's just incredible the uses that you have with something like ChatGPT. And so a lot of people, when they use tools like this, and I gotta say, ChatGPT is just one of many artificial intelligence AI tools out there that you could use. So don't just look at that one, look at the others that are out there with a lot of different use cases. But when you use these tools, it's just really literally jaw-dropping. I find myself speechless sometimes using these tools, and other times I just laugh out loud because my reaction is like, my brain can't even comprehend how cool and amazing these tools are. But because of that, it's really led to a lot of people speculating about how well these new artificial intelligence tools impact our life. There's so many people that kind of have a really doomsday view of them, that they're going to take over the human race, or that they're going to be, used for all these evil, nefarious kind of purposes, or that they're going to put all of humanity out of work. And I think, these are all things worth really reflecting on and considering when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence. But what is going to be the reality of these tools? How will they really impact our life? Those are the type of things that I want to talk about today. First thing, however, though, I think it's really helpful for us to look back in human history and just see how much has really changed over time. So I think when you look at the Industrial Revolution, when you see the inventions of things like the light bulb, or cars, or planes, or the internet, or email, so many of these other tools, I think that everybody thought that these things would really change the world and the life around us, and they're right. These things really did have a huge impact on us. I could remember back to the first time I kind of logged on to the internet, and I just heard that, old dial-up, modem, like, however those things made very loud, noise, and just exploring what in the world is this internet thing. I could still remember sending my first email and being like, you mean that already made it to the person right now? Like instant? All of those things really have changed the world, but are our lives that much different? Have they been used for good purposes or bad? Take the internet as an example. Is the internet a good tool or a bad tool? It's both. You got the dark web, where people are selling, stealing, doing all kinds of terrible things. And you got just the everyday, internet, and it keeps people in touch with each other. It does, helps people to gain knowledge quicker. There's so much on the internet that arguably could be said is used for good and bad. And I think what it comes down to is that whenever there's new type of technologies out there, human beings will be human beings, and they will use those tools for whatever purposes that they have. I think the difference is that the more powerful technology becomes, the more human beings could use those things for more evil or for more good. It's really how human beings decide to leverage those types of tools. And so there's discussions about, do you got to regulate AI? What are the ethics behind it? And those conversations really do need to happen, because there will be people that leverage those type of tools in ways that are very destructive. Just because there's amazing use cases and so much that will make our lives better, it doesn't mean that we don't also have to think through and be prepared for the way that inevitably human beings will also use those things for bad. So if you ask me my opinion on these things, I think that AI is just one more tool that human beings will use for good and bad. And I think it's worth thinking through the ethics of that and really being excited about the positive ways that it will change our life. So big picture, how do I think AI will change our life? One, I have to say, is that we don't fully know the answer to that yet. Probably around, I don't know, November of 2022, I just started to see so many new AI tools that came out that were incredible. You know, people talk about AI, but really it was more machine learning. Now you're really starting to see more true AI that's making an impact. But the first way that I think that AI will impact our life is that it's going to make a lot of things much easier. I talked about the type of prompts that I put in ChatGPT as an example for creating menu plans. You could have it research things, come up with pretty much any type of written document that you can imagine that you need for it to write. It's going to do that for you. So much information that you might wonder what's the answer to that, and it's going to give you a really logical, coherent, written document. And you could tell it, write 1,000-word document about X, use humor, write this in the voice of some celebrity. There's so much that ChatGPT and other AIs can do, and they're really limited just by our imagination how we would use them. But the more we learn how to use them, the more we're going to find it's just going to make our life easier by giving us the information that we need even far quicker than something like doing a Google search. So just pause that conversation for a little bit. I just want to show a practical example of ChatGPT. If you've ever wondered how to sell ice to Eskimos, you just gotta ask ChatGPT. So I gotta say, I just love some of the products and services that it came up with, just using its own kind of artificial intelligence. So one, products and services, Crystal Glacier Cubes, ultra premium ice cubes for beverages and cocktails. Not a bad idea, because I said I wanted to focus on the high end of the market. Bespoke sculptures, custom ice sculptures for events and special occasions. Not bad if you live in the middle of a snowstorm every day. Gourmet ice blocks, luxury ice blocks for traditional igloo construction. I mean, hey, who doesn't want a nicer igloo? Ice concierge service, personalized recommendations and delivery. So it's a bit of fun playing around with ChatGPT, but the more you really dig deeper, you could just see how much opportunity there is to leverage ChatGPT and its API. All right, let's keep talking. Secondly, the way that AI is going to improve our life is that it's going to really increase the speed in which we could get things done. Not too long ago, I had a friend of mine that asked if I would help him put up a startup pitch deck together. He knew that I've been involved in helping startups to put together pitch decks. Both of us were in a bit of time crunch, so I went to ChatGPT. I told it what the startup was about, told it the different slides that I wanted to have in a PowerPoint for the pitch deck, and in about 5 seconds it put together really a brilliant pitch deck. We just needed to edit it slightly, put some graphics on it, and something that would have taken days, if not weeks, was done in minutes. It was just really, truly incredible. So I think that knowing how to harness AI is going to greatly increase the speed in which we could get certain things done. The third way that we see that AI is already impacting human lives is that we're going to need less employees to accomplish the same amount of work. So if you look at robots as something somewhat related, you could also, look in warehouses where robots are, taking care of things that humans would have needed to get out ladders or forklifts before, or whatever it was to get the job done. Now robots and machinery are really taking over some of those jobs. I think this is going to be even more the case with AI, where instead of needing 10 employees to do one job, you might just need one employee to do the same job, really overseeing, editing, fact-checking, whatever it happens to be, the AI. And that's going to mean really a net loss in some jobs. Inevitably, though, when you look at technology, it will stop so many jobs, but it will create so many more. So look at the internet. Imagine how many jobs the internet put an end to. But look at how many new jobs, how many new businesses the internet created as a result. I'm sure there are far more jobs today because of the internet, probably millions of more jobs than were lost because of the internet. So you really need to look practically as an employee or as an employer and say, how will AI most likely impact the job that I have or the industry that I have in time? And how do I plan for that accordingly? Ironically, I think it's going to be a lot of old school type of jobs, importing, exporting, very simple types of businesses and jobs that have been around for millennia that will be the most future-proof for these type of things. The more technical a job is, the more likely it will be impacted by AI. So think through these things and plan accordingly. Finally, AI is going to make learning far easier than ever. So imagine the power of Google. You will put in what you're looking for, and then it's going to give you a million results. Basically, you're the one that has to look through each individual website, read, watch, listen, whatever it is, and then make up your own mind. The amazing thing about AI tools like ChatGPT is that they do all that work for you. They're just going to spit out the information. And then if you need to clarify things, you just type in another prompt that's going to regenerate the response and add more information. It's really incredible. So it's really Google search on steroids. It's going to make everything that we do so much more accessible. Already today, there are websites that students can go and they could basically just write essays, they could take quizzes, anything that they might be asked in school. AI will already do it for them, and there's platforms that just make that so simple. So I think if I were to look at what industry today is already being, disrupted significantly, the number one that stands out to me is education. It was one thing when classrooms said, okay, it's all right to use a calculator, but now, there's, ChatGPT taking the bar exam and passing it at a higher level of correct answers than the average person that's taking their bar exam as a potential, attorney. Sorry, education. I would hate to be a teacher today trying to figure out if students were using, AI or actually coming up, researching themselves and coming up with their own answers. And so when it comes down to looking at how do we learn, I worry a little bit about that one, because I think that for me, when I look back to my college experience, the number one thing that I learned was not the stuff I learned. The number one thing that I learned in university was that I learned how to learn. I learned how to research. I learned how to logically formulate an answer and write that out. With the kind of tools that people have today, they don't gotta think. They don't need to put in the hard work to research, to write out their answers in a logical and coherent way and footnote those and, discuss opposing viewpoints and all the type of things that are so important about traditional education. So what will that look like for people that are studying, as younger people today? What especially will that look like for people that were just born? By the time they get to university, these type of tools will be very well developed. And so I also think that we need to really think about, the great advantage to AI is that it's going to make learning easier than ever. But I think the downside with that is that it's going to make learning easier than ever. So these are some initial thoughts that I have on artificial intelligence and tools like ChatGPT. Don't forget, there's just so many other AI tools out there. Make sure and check them out. They will change your life forever. And I would really expect to, over the next 5 to 10 years, this is just going to be as commonplace as learning how to email for the first time, picking up a cell phone for the first time. You know, those tools really change our life in so many ways. The internet for the first time, you know, I think even far more so, AI is really going to impact our life. Let me know what you guys think about these things in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and take care.